examine the concept of an entity relationship diagram. And typically those are called ER diagrams. And so we're going to just take a look at the start of an ER diagram, and then we'll jump into a more traditional view of ER diagrams. So the first thing you need to know is that ER diagrams typically represent three things. They represent entities, attributes, and relationships. And as we've spoken about in previous classes, those mean entity means what is the thing that you're actually dealing with? Is it a customer? Is it an order? Is it a item? Attribute refers to the characteristics of a particular entity. So in the case of order, there might be a delivery date or an order date. In the case of a customer, it might be a name or an address. Lastly, there's a relationship, and this is what makes data relational, is the fact that you can relate pieces of data to other pieces of data to form one solid story. And to do this, let's take each part separately. So let's use our example of maybe a grocery store or some sort of a online store even. So in the case of a store, your entities might include customers, orders, and items. If you drill down into that concept, each entity would have a set of attributes associated with them. So in the case of customers, you may have a customer ID, a name, and an address. For orders, as we said, you may have an order number, an order date, or a delivery date. And for items, you may have an item ID, the name of the item, how many you might have in stock, and the price of the item. Now, the relationship portion of this is slightly different. It can't be drawn out really in terms of bullet points. It's really more of a conceptual view. So we talked about our customers, orders, and items being entities. So in a relational diagram, you represent entities using these rectangular boxes. Now, there could be relationships between entities. So, for example, between customers and items, well, customers would request specific items. So this might be an action that's associated with that. So customers, this is the action, the request, the rhombus or diamond shape represents that request, or that action, sorry. Now, other relationships also exist. We have orders, and orders typically contain items. And lastly, we have this relationship between customers and orders, in that customers will place an order. And all orders are associated with a customer. So now that we have the entity and the relationships defined, the last piece is to add in the attributes that exist. So as we had listed before, for customers, we have customer ID, name, and address. Now, address is considered what they call a composite key. And the reason why it's called a composite key is because it actually has some sub-attributes associated with it. For example, address is street, city, and state. For the sake of this example, we're just going to talk to this attribute as address. Attributes are represented by ovals. So here you can see that all of these attributes are represented in ovals. And likewise with orders, we have all of the order attributes listed here in ovals, and items, which are also listed. So in the next video, we're going to take this to the next level.